Hey everybody, it's me, Cosmo the Coder, and welcome to another look at this week's Humble Bundle. Nearly said the Humble Monthly Bundle, completely wrong there. This week is a bit different because this week it's the Summer Games Done Quick sort of charity event that's been going on this week. So this bundle actually, I believe, came out yesterday, and essentially it's only available for about 5 days during the actual sort of event. So it's not the same as a normal bundle, it's actually very different, and you'll see why in just a second. So first off, it's basically $15 for 8 games. Now all of them are pretty much the same sort of genre of game. They're basically 2D action platformer games. And you basically spend the 50. There's only one tier, so there's pretty much nothing else to it other than the fact that all the money that you gave goes straight to charity, and that's pretty much pretty much as simple as it is. Now I can't actually show you any. Well, yes, I can. I didn't realize the video was there. Right. So first off, anyway, is a game that I can only pronounce as or 6 V's. It's $3.99 on Steam. It's essentially a 2D platformer where you control gravity. And you're basically able to, rather than move the character by jumping, you're basically able to change the gravity in order to avoid obstacles, spikes, traps, you name it. Basically, the whole idea is to sort of solve puzzles by changing the direction of gravity. It's got fantastic, good reviews on Steam. It's in the 90s on Steam, 81 on Metacritic. So definitely one of the better sort of 2D platformer games out there if you're skilled enough to actually play it. I have to say basically that, like I said, all of the games are pretty much the same, the 2D platformers. They're not necessarily my cup of tea because I'm not a big sort of speedrunner, watcher, player, whatever you want to call it. It's not my sort of thing, but I'll say that more about that later. Anyway, Dust Force DX is $6.99 on Steam at the moment. Basically, you are, I suppose, a sort of a ninja janitor is probably a pretty good way of describing what it is. You basically clean up the world in style is basically the tagline. And you are using a broom. You basically clean up various sort of things like leaves and dust and everything that are all over the level, and you score points by basically fighting and jumping and fighting and attacking basically all this sort of dust monsters, and basically you're cleaning up the environments. Let's put it that way. You basically clean up the environments to achieve a mastery level status of all that is cleaning. I'm waffling. I'm going to just leave it there. It's again quite highly received on Steam. It's in the 80s on Steam. It's 79 on Metacritic. If you're into sort of skill platforming games, you'll like this game. Now, Guac Amelie, the gold edition. There is another edition that is higher than this. It's like the Super Turbo Mega Edition, Championship Edition, or something like that. It's again another sort of 2D fighting game, basically sort of Metroidvania style action platformer game set in a sort of strange sort of Mexican world, similar sort of how I suppose sort of Grim Fandango sort of looks, or if you've ever played the sort of odd Mexican looking level in Psychonauts, then you sort of get the overall sort of feel to this. It's $9.99 on Steam, highly reviewed, 89% recent, 94 overall, 88% on Metacritic. It looks like a fun sort of game to sort of play, but again, it's gonna be if you're really into these kind of games, really. Super Meat Boy is $10.99 on Steam. If you haven't heard of Super Meat Boy, then you obviously don't know much about sort of 2D platformer games. It's one of those games that you sort of can easily pick up and play, but it's it's incredibly frustrating because it's an epic game to master. You've got to sort of basically deal with all these different sort of traps and try and avoid being killed in the most horrific sort of ways. It's amazing to see how it's still quite highly priced, basically, and you get sort of one life to try the level, and you have to keep going over and over and over again until you actually get to the end goal. It's like I said, it gets extremely hard. It's supposed to be sort of reminiscent of the old sort of console games like Mega Man, Ghost and Goblins, Super Mario Brothers, and it's a straightforward game. There's no BS. It just simply says, right, get to the end of the level. It's that simple. But you have to have the reflexes of a cat to do it. It's in the 90s. It's in the 90s on Steam. 87% on Metacritic. Go get it. Go get it if you haven't already got it. Scapegoat 2, again, another platformer game. This time it's $6.99 on Steam. It's essentially a puzzle platformer game where you use machinery, the environment, and even a friendly mouse to sort of navigate a dungeon. It's quite a nice little sort of graphic style overall, but and if you're into puzzle platformers, it's an exceptionally good game. It's in the 90s on Steam, 87 on Metacritic. Oh no, that's the wrong one, sorry. 98 on Steam, 76 on Metacritic. I'm reading the last one, sorry. 6% on Metacritic. So again, another well-received game on there. Sorry, reading that's just totally thrown me. Definitely another well-received 2D platformer. Moving slightly out of the sort of puzzle platformer games, we're going to Serious Sam Double D XXL. It's another action platformer game, but this time you get guns, and not just sort of one gun. You get a hell of a lot of guns. You basically get more and more firepower, and you're able to combine them and essentially play a game that is exceptionally sort of explosive, volatile, and very reminiscent of Serious Sam. So if you've played Serious Sam games, you'll probably recognize all of the guns. But what's sort of interesting about this kind of game is that it takes all of the guns and combines them all together, and then unleashes you on a whole horde of monsters and aliens and creatures and everything like that. I don't know who this guy is, but he looks excited. It's $6.99 on Steam. It's 75% recent, 87% overall. It does look pretty good fun, I have to admit, but beyond that, it's going to be a case of just running and gunning by the look of things. It doesn't look like there's anything more than that. It looks pretty cool, I'll give you that, but beyond that, I don't know what else you can say. Serious Sam the Random Encounter is it kind of looks like what would happen if they took the previous Serious Sam game and sort of put it into a sort of 8-bit console or something similar along those lines. It's $3.99 on Steam, but the only real difference between this and the last game is that this is more of an RPG game, and strangely enough, it's even a turn-based RPG game. Essentially, you're running away from the monsters, constantly shooting at them, and you're able to change what weapons are currently being used and how each sort of character fights off monsters. Now, there is obviously also the RPG element where you explore dungeons and do different things, and as you can see from the video now, how the sort of combat works is that they run around and you're able to basically sort of concentrate firepower with certain guns and in certain areas with different characters. This one's not quite as well received as, say, the other Serious Sam game. It's in the 50s on Steam. It's on 64% on Metacritic. The general sort of consensus is that it doesn't really work very well. It's kind of difficult to get the whole sort of Serious Sam-esque mission feel to it and slap it into an RPG. It just doesn't quite work right. But beyond that, not a bad game in respect of what it is. Finally, we have a game that I have played, not too recently, but definitely something I can sort of talk about. A game called Freedom Planet. It's $10.99 on Steam, and it's basically what would happen if you tried to put a whole sort of plot into a Sonic the Hedgehog. So if you took the whole sort of plot of Sonic Adventure and stuck it into a 2D version of Sonic the Hedgehog, is kind of what you might sort of get. It's it's basically a cartoon combat-based platform adventure game with a sort of the speed of Sonic, as you can see, and loops and spins and everything. But it also includes things like motorbikes and different kind of power-ups and things like that. It's it's voice acted. It's quite cool in terms of graphical style, and you can see that a lot of time and energy has gone into it. It's highly reviewed. It's in the 90s on Steam, 81% on Metacritic. I've played it and it's quite enjoyable. I think I need to play a bit longer to give it a better review, because it sort of only got so far into the story. But overall, I was quite impressed with it. And that pretty much is it for this bundle. Now, sadly, I own all these games, so in terms of buying this bundle, I'm kind of mixed about that, because I think I might actually just buy it, or just go and donate it to the charity that it's supporting. But I'll come to that decision later on. You know, we'll have to see. Now, the PC and Android 14 bundle has been expanded, and it's not loading for some reason. So we'll go have a quick look at that one. Basically, 2 games have been added. Oh no, sorry, 3 games have been added. Completely missed that one. First off, we've got Knights of Pen and Paper +1 edition, which is basically the prequel to Knights of Pen and Paper 2. I'm not sure how else you can sort of describe the game. Basically, it's exactly the same as Knights of Pen and Paper, but without all the improvements that they kind of added to it in terms of in terms of a sequel. So basically, it's the same sort of thing. You play as the Grandmaster and as the other characters, and you choose which battles you want to fight, how you play the battle game, and so on and so forth. It's I've lost my review. Sorry. It's $7.99 on Steam. It's got high reviews, 95% recent, 85% overall. Again, you can see what, and hopefully this game will show you why it got a sequel in the first place. Astarine Hearts, which I think I'm pronouncing right, is an RPG very similar to similar looking anyway to Final Fantasy. Yeah, JRPG. Sorry, it's $8.99 on Steam. It's it's quite well reviewed, generally well reviewed anyway. It's 83% overall on Steam, but the general sort of feeling about the game is that it can be quite boring. It's not necessarily as good a game as some people think it is. Some people highly rate it, other people don't necessarily think it's very good. It looks pretty cool, I have to give it that, but in general it's going to be one of those games that if you're into sort of long RPG-esque games or JRPG-esque games, then you're going to be interested in that. But one of the main criticisms is that it's not voice acted and everything, but people have to understand that this is the Android game. It's a mobile game, so it's not really one of those games that's going to be sort of have huge amounts of content in terms of sound and voice acting and so forth. But you know, people do things like that. They don't really think like that. Unmechanical. Now, Unmechanical is basically a sort of a puzzle adventure game where you basically control this little robot and have to solve puzzles in this sort of strange, odd little world. It's currently in the $6.99 on Steam. Quite well received. 95% of the people overall quite like this game. In general, it's 74% on Metacritic. It looks pretty cool. It's actually using the Unreal Development Kit. And if puzzle platforming-esque games like this are your forte, I heartily recommend it. But beyond that, I can't really say much more than that. So, and that is pretty much it for me, guys, in terms of this humble bundle review. I'm trying to say the wrong sort of thing here. I've just done the Humble Monthly bundle, so I'm sort of halfway between Humble Monthly and Humble Bundle review. I don't know where I am. Anyway, I'll finish this video. So, as always, thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe, dislike, comment, the usual sort of stuff for YouTube and what I always kind of say. Let me know what you think about this bundle and any other bundles. Hopefully next week we'll have a better weekly bundle. But until then, I'm Cosmo the Coder. Thanks for watching, guys, and happy gaming.